We are going to start module 2 of chapter 10. In this module, we shall discuss the applications of Lorentz transformation. Our earlier theory can provide accurate results for low velocity, but when the velocity approach the speed of light, this theory cannot explain the experimental facts. So we need a general theory known as special theory of relativity. In view of this special theory of relativity, we have obtained Lorentz transformation in module 1 of chapter 10. Now we are interested to apply this transformation to discuss two important phenomena: contraction of length of a moving body and clock paradox. In this module, we shall discuss about the applications of Lorentz transformation. Applying Lorentz transformation, we shall explain mathematically the Lorentz-Fitzgerald contraction. Then, with the help of Lorentz transformation, we shall discuss about the retardation of moving clocks. First of all, let us discuss the Lorentz-Fitzgerald contraction. Consider figure 10.3. In this figure, two frames S and S dash have been shown. O is the origin of frame S, while O dash is the origin of frame S dash. The frame S has the coordinate axes OX, OY, OZ, while frame S dash has the coordinate axes O dash X dash, O dash Y dash, O dash Z dash. Initially, both the origins of two frames S and S dash were coinciding, that is, O and O dash were coinciding at t equal to 0. Later on, S dash frame is moving with uniform velocity v with respect to fixed frame S along the direction of X dash axis. Please note that these two frames have common X and X dash axis, that is, OX and O dash X dash are coinciding. OY and O dash Y dash are parallel to each other. Similarly, OZ and O dash Z dash are parallel to each other. Note that here we have chosen a special type of coordinate axis. A rod has been kept on O dash X dash axis or parallel to this axis. So, one end of the rod has fixed position. Let the one end of the rod is at the position x dash equal to x1 dash, while its other end is at the position x dash equal to x2 dash. As x1 dash and x2 dash are fixed coordinates, so the length of the rod L superscript 0 is given by x2 dash minus x1 dash. In previous module, that is module 1 of chapter 10, we have obtained direct Lorentz transformation formula, which is given by this one. In the first equation, x1 dash is connected with the x1. x1 dash is the coordinate in frame S dash, while x1 is the corresponding coordinate in frame S. Similarly, the second equation connects x2 dash with x2. x2 dash is the end of the rod in frame S dash, while x2 is the corresponding coordinate in frame S. V is the velocity with which frame S dash is moving along the common x-axis with respect to fixed frame S. C is the speed of light and T is the time here. If we subtract, then we get x2 dash minus x1 dash is equal to x2 minus x1 divided by square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square. Please note that this term v into t cancels each other as we are subtracting. If we denote x2 minus x1 as L, then we get L superscript 0 equal to small l divided by square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square. Consider the case v less than c. What happens? Let us discuss. From this relation, if we multiply L0 with this quantity, that is square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square, we get L equal to L0, 0 is used as superscript, into square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square. Since v less than c, so v square by c square decreases. Therefore, 1 minus v square by c square increases. As a result, the product of L0 into square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square also increases. This gives L less than L0. Please note that both these systems are equivalent. L denotes the length of the rod in frame S, while L0 denotes the length of the same rod in frame S dash. So, L and L0 must be equal, but here it appears that L less than L0, that is, length of the rod is contracted. It appears to us. On the other hand, if we keep the rod perpendicular to x-axis, that is either in y direction or in z direction, then we will find that the length of the rod will be the same in both the frames. That is, in S and S dash, the rod will have same length. Why? From Lorentz transformation, we have already found that y dash equal to y and z dash equal to z. That is why in the transverse direction, the rod has the same length in both frames S and S dash. So, one can conclude that a body which moves with uniform velocity v relative to an arbitrary inertial system S is contracted in the direction of motion, while the transverse dimensions remain unaffected. Transverse dimensions means the length in the y or z directions. Please note that a system or frame is said to be inertial if Newton's laws of motion, particularly Newton's second law of motion, hold there. Here S is a fixed frame which is inertial, and as S dash frame is moving with uniform velocity with respect to fixed frame S, so S dash is also an inertial frame. Note, as volume is directly related with the length, so in the view of theory of relativity, volume will be changed by a similar formula, which is given by capital V equal to capital V0, 0 is used as superscript, into square root of 1 minus small v square divided by c square. Here capital V0 is the rest volume, while capital V is the volume in the fixed frame S, small v is the velocity of the frame S dash with which it is moving with respect to fixed frame S, c is the speed of light, which is universal constant. In a similar fashion, one can say that if a mass small m having rest mass m suffix 0 moves with a velocity v which is uniform, then m is equal to m0 divided by square root of 1 minus v square by c square. C is the speed of light as usual. In the previous module, that is module 1 of chapter 10, we have obtained the Lorentz transformation formulae. This transformation connects the space and time coordinates. This is the main difference with the Galilean transformation. In Galilean transformation, we have no transformation formula for time. Using the Lorentz transformation formulae, we have already explained mathematically the Lorentz-Fitzgerald contraction. With the help of Lorentz transformation, we have shown in this module that the length of an object which is moving in the direction of common x-axis is contracted, while its transverse dimension remain the same. It is also observed that the object has its maximum length at the stationary position. Let us discuss another interesting phenomena, which is retardation of moving clocks, popularly known as clock paradox. Consider figure 10.4. In this figure, two frames S and S dash have been shown. O is the origin of frame S, O dash is the origin of frame S dash. S frame is fixed frame having coordinate axes OX, OY and OZ. S dash frame have the coordinate axes O dash x dash, O dash y dash, O dash z dash. Initially, O and O dash were coinciding. Now S dash is moving with uniform velocity v along the direction of O dash x dash. S is fixed frame. O dash is the latest position of the frame S dash as it is moving. Let us consider that a clock C dash is kept along the O dash x dash axis or parallel to this axis at the position x dash equal to x1 dash. Please note that here we have considered a special type of coordinate system where OX and O dash x dash are coinciding, while OY and O dash y dash are parallel to each other, and in a similar fashion OZ and O dash z dash are parallel to each other. From Lorentz transformation formula, we have T equal to T dash plus small v divided by c square into x dash divided by square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square. Lorentz transformation formula has an advantage that it gives the transformation formula for time. This is the basic difference between Galilean transformation and Lorentz transformation. C is the speed of light. X dash is the position of the clock in frame S dash. When a clock in S dash records a time t dash equal to t1 dash, a clock in S then records a time t equal to t1. So, one can connect t1 with t1 dash by a formula given by t1 equal to t1 dash plus v divided by c square into x1 dash divided by square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square. Please note that here we have substituted t equal to t1, here t dash equal to t1 dash and x dash equal to x1 dash, and we get this result. Similarly, when a clock in S dash records a time t dash equal to t2 dash, a clock in S will then record a time t equal to t2, where t2 and t2 dash is connected by t2 equal to t2 dash plus v divided by c square into x1 dash divided by square root of 1 minus v square by c square. Please note that here only we change the time, not the position of the clock. The clock is at the same position which is given by x dash equal to x1 dash. Please note it. If we subtract these two equations, then we get t2 minus t1 equal to t2 dash minus t1 dash divided by square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square. These terms cancels with this one as we are subtracting. If we denote t2 minus t1 equal to triangular delta t and t2 dash minus t1 dash equal to triangular delta tau, and then after substitution in the previous equation we get triangular delta t equal to triangular delta tau divided by square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square. C is the speed of light, v is the velocity of frame S dash with which it is moving with respect to S along the common direction of x and x dash axis. Let us consider what happens when v becomes less than the speed of light c. When v less than c, then v square divided by c square decreases. So, the quantity 1 minus v square by c square increases. As a result, the denominator increases. Therefore, the right hand side of this equation decreases. Hence, we get triangular delta t greater than triangular delta tau. Please keep in mind that both the frames are equivalent. So, the time difference triangular delta t is the time difference in frame S, whereas triangular delta tau is the time difference in frame S dash. Both should be the same, but here it appears that triangular delta t is greater than triangular delta tau. That is, we found the widening of time difference. Thus, the time difference appears to be dilated. Consider an example. The length of a rocket ship is 100 meters on the ground. When it is in flight, its length observed on the ground is 99 meters. We have to calculate its speed. We have the formula L equal to L0 into square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square. L is the length in frame S, L0 is the corresponding length in frame S dash, v is the velocity of frame S dash with which it is moving with respect to fixed frame S, c is the speed of light. Here L superscript 0 is 100 meter. The length of the rocket ship is 100 meter on the ground. From this we get it. When it is in flight, its length observed on the ground is 99 meter. So, L is equal to 99 meters. Please look here, the length has been contracted. Here 100 meter, here 99 meter. It appears to be contracted. Substituting these two here, we get this result. Dividing both sides by 100 and taking square of it, we get this one, this result. Shifting v square by c square on the right hand side and this quantity on the left hand side, we get 1 minus 0.99 square equal to v square by c square. This is of the form a square minus b square, which gives a plus b into a minus b. That is, we have v square by c square is equal to 1.99 and 0.01. This is a plus b, this is a minus b. Thus, finally, we have v equal to this quantity. Taking the square root, v gives this result. C is the speed of light as usual. Consider the example, at what speed should a clock be moved so that it may appear to lose 1 minute in each hour. We have the formula from time dilation that triangular delta t equal to triangular delta tau divided by square root of 1 minus v square by c square. Triangular delta t gives the time difference in frame S, whereas triangular delta tau gives the time difference in frame S dash. V is the velocity with which frame S dash is moving with respect to fixed frame S along the direction of common x axis. C is the speed of light. Here triangular delta t is equal to 1 hour, which is 60 minutes. Triangular delta tau is equal to 60 minus 1, that is 59 minutes. In the problem, it has been mentioned that the clock may appear to lose 1 minute. So, triangular delta tau is 60 minus 1, that is 59 minutes. Substituting these in this equation, we get this result. Shifting v square by c square on the right hand side and 59 divided by 60 square on the left hand side, we get this one. This is again of the form a square minus b square. Using the formula of a square minus b square, we get this result. Taking the square root and multiplying by C, we get V equal to 0.18 into C. C is 3 into 10 to the power 10 centimeter per second. This gives the speed of light. Let us consider the next example. Calculate the velocity of a particle so that its mass increases 20% of its rest mass. We have this formula m equal to m0 divided by square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square. Here m0 is the rest mass, that is the mass in the frame S dash, which is moving with respect to fixed frame S with a velocity small v in the direction of common x axis. M is the mass of the same object in fixed frame S. C is the speed of light. It is given that mass increases 20% of its rest mass. So, small m is equal to m0 plus 20% of rest mass, that is 0.2 into m0. Therefore, small m is equal to 1.2 into m0. If we substitute these in the previous equation, we get this result. This gives 1 minus v square divided by c square is equal to 1 divided by 1.2 its square. This finally gives 25 divided by 36. Therefore, shifting v square by c square on the right hand side and this quantity on the left hand side, we get v square divided by c square is equal to 1 minus 25 divided by 36, which on subtraction gives this one. Taking square root, we get v equal to square root of 11 divided by 6 into c. As usual, c is the speed of light. Consider the next example. A particle has the dimension represented by 6 into I vector plus 7 into j vector. These are measures in meters in a reference frame S. How this dimension will be represented in the system S dash moving with a velocity v equal to 0.6 into c. C is the velocity of light along the positive x axis. I and j are the unit vectors along respective axes. We know this formula. We have obtained this from Lorentz Fitzgerald contraction. Here L superscript 0 is 6. We get it from here. This is the coefficient of I vector. V is given as 0.6 into c. C is the speed of light. Substituting these two here, we get L equal to this one. After simple calculation, we get L equal to 4.8. Please note that L0 is 6, but L is 4.8. So, length is contracted. So, the dimension of the body in frame S dash is represented by 4.8I plus 7 into j vector. Note that 7 is the length of the rod in the transverse dimension, that is length of the rod in the direction of y-axis which remains unchanged. We have already proved this phenomena. So, we have this result. These are also measured in meters. Our earlier theory is unable to explain the experimental facts because it cannot provide the results accurately when the velocity involved there approach the speed of light. In such cases, we need a special theory. Einstein proposed some postulates. These postulates with their consequences develop the special theory of relativity. In module 1 of chapter 10, we have obtained Lorentz transformation formulae. In this module, that is module 2 of chapter 10, we have applied the Lorentz transformation formulae which differ from the Galilean transformation, particularly in case of time. It gives the transformation formula for time also. Applying Lorentz transformation formulae, we have discussed two important phenomena which are time dilation and Lorentz Fitzgerald contraction.